Hey everybody, I hope you're doing well. I'm recording this video on Wednesday or Thursday, January 20th, but you might be catching it at another time, and that's totally okay because what I'm going to talk about is universal, even though it is tied into the themes of January and one of the themes of January. So, we are in a Mercury retrograde cycle right now. First of all, just to speak about the astrology that's up at the moment. I'm not an astrologer, but I do follow the energies, and so I always like to mention that. And this cycle is asking us to really let go and reevaluate any projects that we maybe have been holding on to, or any ideas that we've been holding on to and we've been putting off completing. Either we need to finish them or we need to let them go. So that's just a quick little update about what's happening with Mercury retrograde as I've seen it. But what I really want to talk with you all about today is one of the themes of January, which is releasing the killjoys. And I'm starting to see this show up. So I know that we're in the back half of the month, and I think this theme is really going to come online more and more over the next couple of weeks as we move to the end of January. And this is a interesting theme. It's showing up differently than I expected. So what I expected is that we were going to be clearing out relationships that are not bringing us joy and letting go of people and things and places that are not bringing us joy. And I think that that is certainly happening. We're in a Venus retrograde cycle right now, which means that we're clearing out a lot of old relationship wounds. Old relationships are being closed out that maybe have been hanging on. New beginnings we're creating space for new beginnings. But how I'm really seeing this show up is quite different than that. And what I've been experiencing in my own life and then seeing with my clients is that right now, we're being asked to let go of anything that keeps us from living in joy that maybe we have adopted as a truth from either a societal program or an ancestral program. I've been doing a lot of ancestral clearing with my clients again, and it always comes in waves. I'll get, several weeks of doing ancestral work, and then it'll kind of slow down. And we're in one of those cycles right now, but it's all centered around where we are robbing ourselves of our joy. And I'll give you some examples from my own personal life. So I'm doing a lot of work with my body and healing some things that are very systemic for me, and continuing to peel back the layers of the onion to do so. And one of the things that I've realized is that, a lot of these things that I'm clearing are ancestral in nature, and they're multifaceted. They're emotionally ancestral, meaning that there are wounds that have happened to my ancestors that have created some of these disease patterns. And they're genetically ancestral, right? In that they are just running through my family line. But it's very interesting because as I'm getting to certain nexus points of healing, what I'm realizing is that I have an opportunity to not carry that truth forward, right? So just because this has been something that has been true for me for 37 years that I've been working with in my physical body and my relationship to my physical body doesn't mean that I need to carry it forward any longer. I'm really at a place where I can make a choice. And I can certainly reaffirm my prior choices, or I can make a new choice of how I want to show up in relationship to my physical body. And as that's been coming to the surface, what I've witnessed is that there's a part of me that's afraid of letting go of some of these patterns, these ancestral patterns with my physical body's health, because I'm worried that that's going to create more of a divide or a disconnect between me and my family. And that's not true, but that's a fear that my inner child has been carrying that has allowed me to stay enmeshed in some of these ancestral patterns that I'm witnessing, that I'm having to choose, do I want to continue them or not? And so I wanted to mention that because if you're doing some deep work right now and healing your body, or letting go of certain relational patterns that you have or emotional patterns that you carry, you may find that there's some resistance. There's some part of you that's in resistance to letting go of that. And it may even create this story for you in your mental body that it's impossible to let go of something because it's just the way it is. It's just the way I've always known it. It's just the way my parents showed up. So that's the way I have to show up. But we have choice in everything, right? This is really important for us to start anchoring, because when we can realize that we have choice in everything, we can start to be more in our empowered place, right? We can be more in our empowerment at a deeper level. And so realizing that we have a choice of whether or not we want to carry some of these joy killers forward, right? These killjoys of things where, oh, I don't feel good in my body, so I can't really enjoy life. Or I have a hard time being in relationship and finding a partner, and so I can't enjoy my life right now. Whatever these stories are that are keeping you from experiencing joy on a daily basis and living in joy, really rooted in joy, we're being asked to look at those and say, are we going to keep holding those up? Are we going to keep putting energy into those patterns? Are we going to keep putting energy into those stories? Or are we going to do the really brave thing and make a different choice and think about it in a different way and let go of it? So all of this has come to the surface for me, and I just want to kind of tie in this other piece because I went through COVID over Thanksgiving. And I need to remember to use code words so that we don't get censored here. But I went through the experience that we've all been talking about a lot over the last 2 years. And this is my second time going through it. And this time was much different than the first. The first was much deeper, much scarier, much more difficult to move through. But this time wasn't so difficult, although it wasn't pleasant, I'll be honest. But both times that I've moved through this, it has served to bring something to the surface that needed to be addressed within my physical body. And about halfway through the experience with this, I woke up in the middle of the night and there was some fear in my body because I could feel some things happening in my chest that didn't feel comfortable. And I was aware that there was a channel open, meaning when I'm getting a download or there's someone that wants to connect with me, it's almost like a radio station has turned on right in my head. And I was very aware that I was to have a conversation with the consciousness of this this lovely bug that is going around. And as I started to speak with it, it shared with me that it was created as a malware program. So if it gave me a visual of a screen on a computer that like if you were to get a virus on your computer, like what little pop-up you would get, right? Like a little screen of death kind of thing. And it said that it was originally created as a malware program, but not to worry, that it has replicated itself and will continue to replicate itself to support a shift in consciousness on this planet, and that it will make contact with everybody in some way. Okay, that doesn't mean that everybody's going to receive it in the way that I did, but it will make contact with everyone in some way, whether that touches somebody in their life or them directly. And that it was really here now in its latest incarnation, right, as it's replicated itself, to continue to help us bring awareness to parts of ourselves that need to be healed. For me, that's my physical body, because my physical body is what brought me onto my spiritual path. It was my Graves' disease and my chronic migraines and my chronic fatigue that brought me here. But for everybody else, it may be different. Okay, it may be the same, it may be different. And it told me that it was going to continue to work with us inside our bodies, even when we feel better, to bring those things to the surface. And so that's why we have things like long versions of this, because it's going to stick with the person until they are able to address the things that they need to address. And, it was very matter of fact and neutral. And so it's been actually a blessing for me, because the first time I went through it, something similar happened. There was some deep stuff in my body and a lot of stuff within my emotional body that needed to clear. A lot of grief needed to go the first time. This time it's here to really up my game and how I take care of my body so that I can continue to do more work and see more clients and hold bigger containers, right, when I'm doing my work. And so it's serving its purpose. And and I share this with you because that's the reason why I'm on this path now, to do a deeper healing in my physical body and let go of these patterns. And, we're at a point now where we've been in this experience for 2 years. It's coming to a close. I know if you watch certain mainstream news outlets, it may not feel that way, but it is doing exactly what it told me it was going to do. So I had this experience with it in November over Thanksgiving, and 2 weeks later is when it replicated itself, and that was in the news with the latest variant. And it has gotten less deadly, meaning that certainly it will still impact people in that way if that's their contract with it. But it is shifting closer and closer to being endemic, which means that it's going to be here forever at a different frequency, okay? A less deadly frequency. And so it did exactly what it told me it was going to do, which for me has brought a lot of comfort, because anytime somebody says something to me and then does what they say that they're going to do, there's some trust that develops there that I'm okay, that I'm safe. And so I wanted to bring that into this conversation, because all of these things that we're clearing right now, are maybe not directly related to this, but we've all been through a collective trauma over the last 2 years. And January is asking us to finish out that chapter, right? The energies of 2022 are very propelling us forward, asking us to move faster, asking us to get into community, into connection, into our purpose work. How can we be of service? Those are the themes of 2022. And January is our opportunity to purge what remains that is a blocker to keeping us from doing that. For me, I have to get my physical body in order. I had to shift my schedule. I had to change my self-care again, right? I do this all the time, but I had to do it again because I'm shifting in how I'm going to be showing up in my work, and I have to make more space for that. For you, it might be some old emotions that you have to unpack, some patterns that need to clear from things that you're carrying from your ancestors or from society about how you should be showing up. For you, it may also be a relationship that needs to come to a close. You might need to make some space. You might need to let go of a job or something to make space for the energies of this year. So, everything is here to serve us. So even if some of this is coming to the surface for you and you're like, gosh, this is just really killing my joy because I gotta work through this. I gotta feel these emotions. I gotta take care of my body. Know that part of releasing that as a blocker is being with it, right? Is moving through it. You cannot go around things anymore. I don't know that we ever could, but it's become very clear to me that we have to move through things. Even more importantly, we have to move through things now. Because if we try to avoid them, they're just going to slam back in our face, and maybe even in an expanded way. And I think that's always been the case, but we're at such a nexus point in consciousness right now that we have to be very mindful that we're meeting every perceived challenge with, okay, how is this serving me? So whatever's coming up for you right now, if you're purging a lot, if you're grieving, if you're not feeling well in your physical body, whatever is coming up for you is serving you in some way. And when we can claim that, when we can find the truth in that, whatever that is for you, and you may not be there yet, okay? This is not a just get there, ignore what you're feeling. Be present with what you're feeling, but leave the door open to be surprised about how this is serving you. Just have a little bit of curiosity, right? My word for everybody lately has been just be curious. If I let go of this truth that I think is true, this thing that I'm receiving from society that says I need to be this way, or it's only going to ever be this good, or this thing from my parents that I'm running, this pattern that I'm running, if I let go of that, if I claim something else, or even just let go of this and claim not knowing, how will that affect my life? What might change? And when we can be in that place of curiosity, we create an opening for the universe to meet us, to fill in the space that we've created. And so in January, right, besides letting go of these things that are joy killers, we are creating space. And don't worry, the universe hates a vacuum. So if you're feeling a lot of loss and a lot of letting go, and you're like, when is this going to be over? Lean into it, because you're creating a heck of a lot of space. And after every contraction, there is a huge expansion, okay? The more you contract, the more you purge, the more you let go, the more you can receive, the bigger the expansion afterwards. So I hope that this helps you to understand the energetics right now. We've got a lot of stuff going on. We just closed out a 20-day ascension portal that ended on the 18th, and we're kind of in an integration phase. If you've been watching the Schumann resonance of the earth, it's been really off the charts and now it's really quiet. Okay, we're in an integration period. And as I said at the beginning, we're in a Mercury retrograde, we're in a Venus retrograde. Slow down, integrate, take some time, be present. Okay? And I promise if you can slow down right now and take that time and realize that there's enough time for you to do that, right? That's a big program we're clearing right now. Then you're going to speed up, right? In February and beyond. So, and maybe even sooner. What I've been noticing is if I can slow down a day where I feel like I need to, the next day is very productive. Okay. So we have to start trusting our rhythms and trusting how we feel and trusting that we know what's best for ourselves and we know how to take care of ourselves and that we can lean into that. All right, beautiful beings, thank you all so much for watching and being a part of this community. We'll be having a healing circle middle of next month after I get back from Sedona, and we're going to be working with love a lot next month as we move into February. So look out for that. And yeah, and it's good to share this information with you all. And so comment and let me know how this lands. And if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe so that you can get my videos in the future when they're released so that you know what's going on. And yeah, I would love to hear from you all. So thanks for watching. Have a great day.